All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to I2TV Podcast. I am back with your boy, Mike. How you been, Mike?
Good. What's good? It's another beautiful
That's
day. Happy 4th of July to everybody. I mean, for what it is, I hope everybody had, a great time with their family, barbecuing, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? So,
Yes, sir. I got to have a blast, man. Kids got to shoot their first fireworks, so that was pretty nice.
That's like.
Yeah.
I just posted up. I just chilled. I was just in the crib. It was hot outside.
Oh, yeah. You liable to blow something up.
Sunday, by the way. Tuesdays are my Sundays, so I kind of just relaxed yesterday. I didn't do much.
Most def. And shout out to Mike, man. If you ain't been to the truck, I'm trying to get out there myself once this heat chill out. And give me something to eat, man.
Yeah, once y'all get out here, you know what I'm saying, when the heat slows down, comes down a little bit,
Most
that's
definitely.
swing anyway. Like right now, it's funny, like our sales are literally cut 50% just because of the season. You know what I mean? So that's just good for next year. So I can plan on going through, the fall, the winter, the spring season heavy, and even may take the summer season off. You know what I mean? So, whatever we need to do, it's a good learning experience. This is still year one though.
Of course. And it's, nice even having the point where y'all got a nice flow going. So now you can just go from the flow to that seasonal approach, which is dope.
Yeah. Although I don't know, that sounded like situation on there, having me, like you mentioned it, I got my neck back, you know what I mean? So
hey, Mike getting cleaned up out here. You've been out in the gym in the parking lot out there, man, in the street getting it. For sure. But hey, man, let's roll into DXY. I know Mike wants to bring a lot of education to you guys. Just starting off, things to look for in the charts. We had a great conversation about divergence and identify, and he's about to tackle some details for you guys to help you guys out there and hit us with the DXY, things going on with the dollars and things in the stock market you want to be looking out for. So I'm going to open it up, Mike, man, and the floor is yours.
So before I go into any charts or anything like that, I hope everybody saw my post that I had a little bit of a rant. Because I'm on my truck so often, it's hard for me to be on calls. Or if I'm out grocery shopping, whatever it may be, there may be times where I miss posts, etc. So when I'm in there, I'm in there. When I'm not, I'm still watching. I just may not be able to respond right away. So if everybody saw my rant, I want you guys to kind of focus on practicing. Like I want to use July as a setup month. Whoever is trading, like you're going to probably find within the time frame of July, for the month, we're probably going to find things kind of go back and forth, right? And I'll show you what I mean by that here in a second when we're looking at the US 30 chart, right? Because what I'm expecting on the monthly chart for the US 30 is a doji candle. Now, what does doji candle signify? Indecision, right? You get a small, like star-looking type candle with a wick to the upside and the bottom side. So, when the bulls and bears are fighting like that, you're going to have your trades where you're going to be in and out, right? So I wouldn't consider long-term trades. This would not be the month to enter long-term trades. This would be the month to make your money and get out. Like, I don't want to say scalp, but scalp on the hour, whatever it is, right? What I mean is, like, hold your trades for a couple days, right? In the grand scheme of things, for us, scalping is considered 5-minute entries, 15-minute exits, right? Stuff like that, where, you're in and out because the trades are going to move fairly quickly. Well, scalping on the big time frames could be considered as trading off of the hour, right? Hold for a couple days, get out, or watch your trades come back to entry, get in again. Take your money when you can, get in, get out, right? Until we start seeing more and more is what's happening here in July. So what do we have going on here? Zay and I are going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about a couple of distractions going on, because a lot of this stuff that is going on in the nation right now, or even in the world, is literally setting up for something huge, right? And we have a big transition in wealth and financial services, right? So as things happen, like you might not be conspiracy theory type, thinkers. If you are, cool. If not, cool. But it's not a bad idea to kind of take some of the things that are going on and at least food for thought, right? Because you might find that some of the things that you read come to fruition when, last year you might have been like, yeah, that's far-fetched. What do I mean by that? It's to start taking a look at stuff like Nasara Jasara, right? That just is going now live in South America, I want to say. Nasara Jasara is starting to take, like, that whole thing is starting to take over. If you're not sure what it is, I'm telling you, I'm not going to go into it. It's a long explanation, but Google it, take your time with it, understand it a little bit. We have ISO 20022 went live in November. I bet 100% of people, in fact, when I say this, they might be like, oh shit, I didn't know this. July 1st, guess which country went live in ISO 20022? The US. The US went live.
In there.
ISO 20022 is the transition away from the modern banking system that we know into the crypto world more. So that's why XRP, XLM. I'm telling you guys, XLM is going to be a great crypto to buy, right? That's one that you still can buy on many platforms. XRP, you can't. You can buy it on Uphold, but you can't buy it on Binance or crypto.com or anything like that, right? So when these things happen on the back end of what's going on in the forefront, right? That's a big transition that people aren't aware of. What were we distracted with on the front hand? We're distracted with the Supreme Court decisions, right? That's all you saw in the news, Twitter. Oh, the Supreme Court dissolves affirmative action, which to me is bullshit. Sorry, I'll go into that in a second here when we talk about the distractions. But we also saw student debt relief get shut down. Now, I'm sorry if anybody that's watching this call or watching this video thought for 1 second that Biden was going to erase student debt, you were fooled. And the reason why is because the president does not have the authority to do so. He made promises that he wrote checks that his ass can't cash. Put it that way.
Facts.
Right? So the other thing was the distraction of the Colorado web developer, right? Which ultimately turned out that the story may not even be true, ironically enough, right? So those are the three major distractions we've had over the past week. Going in, funny and oddly enough, we're going into Q3 right now. So Q2 was April, May, June. Hi, Felicia. April, May, June. So we just finished Q2, which means we've got, we had earnings calls towards the end of June. We've got probably some earnings calls coming up at the end of the month, some big ones, quarterly earnings. So keep an eye out for that. Those are big topics. What else? We had an increase in interest rates, right? 1/4 basis point. Now, some people may be pissed off at that. Me, I don't think it was enough. I don't think it was enough because, like I said in that rant, look for inflation, look for CPI, look for PCE, look for PPI, right? Those are typical everyday type topics that are going to be affected about what's been going on, right? So the interest rates tail into how gold works and how gold moves. It tails into where the US dollar is moving. It tails into how the stocks are going to drop if inflation continues going up with CPI. But it's ultimately not the best gauge to look at inflation. All CPI is looking at is what are people paying out of their pocket? Am I paying more or am I paying less? Now, keep in mind, if you go to your gas station right now, you're probably about 50 cents to 75 cents lower than what you were a month ago. Don't get it twisted. That's the summer months, okay? A lot of people, when it's hot, they're going on vacation, right? So, flying places. The school's out, so there's not a lot of driving back and forth to school, right? People are still working from home. So guess what? The use of gas goes down in the summer months, so they can lower the price. So then this way, you go buy more gas. Oh my gosh, it's been $5 for the past year. Now I see it at $3.75. I'm gonna go fill up every tank that I have, and it keeps things going, right? These are all strategically planned. Just because you're seeing sales at your grocery store, same thing. Like half the population in my town is not even here, right? They're in other places. These grocery stores still have to stock up and feed people. So if sales go down, guess what? People will stock up and buy when they don't really need it. Why? Because they're going to see the prices go right back up. What's the target date around that time? It's going to be Labor Day. Labor Day is a big time for, is like a big holiday for gas and food to start going up. 4th of July, not so much, even though it's barbecues, this, that, and the other. It's still too hot. September is a great month as the heat starts coming down, feeling a little good. Everybody's out doing their thing, barbecuing just like 4th of July, but having more people out, right? So when that happens, you're going to see gas go right back up. You're going to see food go right back up. This stuff right now to lower the prices is to maintain the usage and actually exploit the usage of these items because of the fact that there's less that's being taken, right? So it's a mental game. It's a mental game. Bottom line, interest rates went up. Interest rates will go up again. So take a look when you're looking at Forex Factory. Look at month-over-month CPI data. Even though I don't necessarily agree with using CPI for inflation, this is what they gauge off of. I can't change that. So when CPI goes up like it did last time, it was all broadcast that CPI went down. CPI actually went up. It just didn't go as high as they expected. They expected 0.2%. You saw 0.1%. Again, if you guys want to compare, I tweeted this out one time, and I'm going to share this with you guys here because I succeed when they're reading Forex Factor, right? That's reading on numbers. If you want to know what the market is going to do, you trade the forecast to the actual. If you want to know where we're at economically, compare the previous to the actual. Okay. So let's see what we got. Today was Wednesday. Let's see, what do we even have? Factory orders, FOMC. Oh, FOMC minutes. 30-year bond auction. What do we got coming up here? All right. I'll give you an exact example of something that I'm seeing here. All right. So this is one situation where you can actually look at both of these, right? So unemployment claims is going to be coming out tomorrow. They're expecting it to go up by 8,000, right? So if it goes, so if this comes out lower than 247, guess what? That's going to be a bullish move. But if it's higher than 239 and lower than 247, we have more unemployment claims coming in, which is not good for the economy. That's what I mean by comparing one and the other. Take your forecast and your actual, which you can show what your actual is probably going to end up being if you look off of the 5-minute time frame, right? If you trade off the 5-minute time frame, the chart should be able to tell you which way this is going to go. So if you want to know where we're at economically, compare the previous to the actual. I don't know how else to put it, because you're going to get two different things. You're going to get the smoke and mirrors that they tell you right up front when it's based on the trade move, and you're going to get the actual economic status details when you compare those two, and you can see through the bullshit that gets tweeted, sent out news, media takes, right? So, for example, let's also take a look at this. CPI has to be coming up here. I want to say, there we go, USD CPI month over month and year over year, and it's on the same day. It's next Wednesday, guys, next Wednesday. This is going to be interesting. All right, so let's take month over month. Look, it's red, right? Why? Because it went down. it went down from compared to the forecast. But if we were going to see inflation go down month over month, then what we would have seen is this be a negative. So you saw a bearish move here, but ultimately that was for the small move. The entry was for a buy because it still went up, right? So you could have sold this, but you could have bought these two off of these two, right? Depends on which way you want to read it. Regardless, if we're seeing it coming down, this would have been a negative. We see a positive, means it's still going up. So what does that lead into? August, we're probably going to have a rate increase, right? It's either going to be August or it's going to be September, one of those two. In fact, they might even wait until September, right? But ultimately, there's going to be something in August that's going to push the stock markets down. We'll get into that here in a second. So that's my little rant on Forex Factory here, right? Let's take a look at what DXY is going to be doing. So DXY is sitting in an interesting area. When you start seeing patterns, you're not going to miss them, right? So let's take a look. Too far. All right, so we had a mini teacup in here. Started to fill, but we got it coming back up. So this is just a higher low. This is your low. This is your higher low. Now, this is on the weekly. So your bigger time frames are going to give you what to expect to come up in the future, right? Doesn't mean you enter in off of this time frame at all. None of us that are trading have the patience, nor do we probably have the financial capabilities to consistently trade off of the weekly and higher. So when you're using the monthly and you're using the weekly, use these for your majority. You're going to use these for your forecasts of what's going to be happening, right? So if we do like a top-down analysis, what are we looking at here on the monthly? We should be looking at a possible doji candle on the monthly for a possible morning star, right? Let's take a look. Yeah, looks like we're forming one right now, right? So this is just a more condensed version of the weekly. So I would consist of July. This is funny because this should be a doji when it's done. The dollar is going to come back down a little bit. I don't think it comes back down necessarily any further than where that entry was, because I would see this as being a bullish doji candle, which sets up for a possible morning star. Morning star, you have your bearish candle, you have your doji, and then you have a bullish engulfing. That is a morning star. So that bullish engulfing would be August. Something could be happening in August, right? So let's come down to the weekly. Now that we see a little more candles, a little more pattern that's showing here, I can actually put into perspective a couple of things that you guys can possibly see. When you're looking at a teacup or an inverted head and shoulders, you kind of should be able to see both of them, right? If you're looking at an inverted head and shoulders, you can possibly look at a teacup. If you're looking at an inverted teacup, you're probably looking at an actual head and shoulders, right? Bearish patterns versus bullish patterns. Your inverted head and shoulders and your teacup are going to be bullish patterns. Let's just move a little faster. There we go. So yes, bullish pattern. But what do we see here as well? Well, I don't know about y'all, but this shit is pretty clear to me. Right? Continue up. This would ultimately be the bigger one. Right? Watch for this to happen. That means over the next weeks. So what we've seen is the dollar coming down, more supply, allowing prices to come down, right? More supply ahead of time. coming down bearish. We're going to see it come right back up. Now, this all coincides around the time and with the plan of what happened with the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling allowed for $5 trillion to be added into the actual deficit, even though it was like a 37 trillion something. I think it was like 37 trillion. There's a difference of 5, allowing us $5 trillion to spend more. Right? When that happens, we've got more money to spend. That means they're going to print it off. Right? They're going to go to the printer. Hang on, guys. 1 second.
Guys, it's really great. Just to tap in real quick, Mike is hitting well, but just seeing what we're seeing on the dollar, guys, remember a lot of this money is just inflated. So the market is just pumped up. So it will correct pretty ugly.
Mm-hmm. Well, what causes the dollar to go up? Positive inflation, because of supply and demand. When the dollar goes up, that doesn't mean it's getting stronger. That just means, well, it does mean it's getting stronger, but outside of the US. The dollar chart is literally based off of supply and demand. The more supply, the lower it goes. The higher the demand, the higher it goes. So when we're looking at this, yes, we have a goal to reach back at where we were at about a year ago. Right? Let's see, when was this? October of 22. Ironically, could be a year old, depending on how fast this shoots up. Okay, so what that's not on Forex Factory causes the dollar to go up? War. We talked about this stuff a while back ago, a long time ago. Zay and I have had these conversations, and then all of a sudden we had the war with Russia. Right, where we were putting our 2 cents into everything, no pun intended. But that was part of kind of what was going on. We set money over there, dollar was going up, boom, boom, boom. That's like what we're looking at here, right? February of 23, we saw this coming up as we were getting into the war. So when we're directly impacted by it, you're going to see it skyrocket. We're not there yet, but this just tells you, keep in mind, when you see this dollar going up, what could be back on the back end, even causing it to push that way. The other thing is this. We had a bullish flag here. Right? We had a bullish flag. And all we saw with this drop where everybody's starting to feel a little bit less pressure was just a retest. That's all it was. It broke, it retested, and now it's time to go make a newer high. Well, that's scary because the next high is around 120. When my screen finally fully loads, it's right in there it goes. Boom. 120. That's not good, y'all. Look, if you guys felt pressure in your wallets a year ago, you're going to feel it a lot more when it reaches 120. Now, this also goes into who we have in office. I don't want to bring politics in it, but politics have to coincide with this.
Most definitely.
Say when those things happened last week, you made a post on Facebook and you took a screenshot of Discord, right? With the article from Biden. What did you say about Dems and Republicans? Dems do what, and Republicans do what?
As far as finance?
No, what you said was both sides assholes, but the Republicans.
Correct. Republicans will definitely help your pockets, but both sides are definitely going to screw you.
Exactly. And I can't tell you how much I agree with that.
Yep.
But that's what makes me an independent, because I can see both sides. I'll be honest, I'm all for pro-choice, but at the same time, I'm not for a lot of the Democratic shit that goes on. Right?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And it's sad to say, I mean, you'll even see family members of my own that are just stuck in that same mentality, that same mindset. And it's not necessarily about choosing a team, but it's more so about doing what's best at the time for you and your family, man. Like, you really got to take every side in consideration, what their agenda is, what they're lying about, you know, and focus on what's going to be best for you so you can still do what you got to do for your family. That's why I love being an entrepreneur and doing our own independent thing anyway. I mean, that's why we named this Independent Trading University, because you should be in an independent position to look and see and make your own calculated decisions. This is chess, brother. This is chess.
Right. Exactly. That's the whole thing, is it's chess, right? And they're playing, and we are the pawns, the people that are listening to this call, people that are talking on this call, the people that may view this call. All of us are pawns, right? Now, I want you guys, I'm gonna unshare the DXY here for a second, because I see we're all into the position right now. If you're following me, we're seeing the DXY with bullish moves coming up. I'll get down to lower time frames here when I get back, because it is going to pull back down first and then it's going to go up. So let's take a second here real quick, if we're on podcast type delivery here.
Let's flow with it. Flow with it.
All right. Andrew Tate, you're familiar with Andrew Tate, right?
Yep.
So Andrew Tate did a podcast one time, and he spoke about racism. He said billionaires don't experience racism, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said a white billionaire, black billionaire, it doesn't matter. You guys both buy your yachts. You guys are partying the same exact way, right? Nobody cares. Everything's all good. It doesn't matter. Racism, and I'm not taking anything away from what it actually is, but it is a control tool for those in the middle and lower classes.
Of course.
It keeps us divided, right?
Most
Because
definitely.
I'm telling you, those billionaires, those black, white, and Latino billionaires, they're up there at the top of the food chain, and they're chilling with each other, popping a bottle of Chrissy Chris, get drunk.
Oh, they don't want you to pay attention. They don't want you to pay attention at all. BlackRock don't want you to see nothing they're doing. Vanguard doesn't want you to see anything they're doing.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Black billionaires, same thing. They're making moves they're talking about.
I'm glad you said that, because also in that podcast that Andrew Tate was talking about, is he said, if you enlighten yourself to the financial markets and how things move and where money goes, then you would understand this. But they keep these distractions around to keep us dumb.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect example. Last Friday, what happened? The Supreme Court decided to remove your ethnicity and the requirement to state what ethnicity you are from a college application.
Correct.
Me, I think that is a major win.
Correct.
That is a major win.
I
but
agree.
What do you see liberals posting about and talking about on media?
Yeah.
What is it? Affirmative action has been destroyed. Look.
And Biden's take on it.
Right. This is just me being a realist. Look. You can't tell whether I'm white or black unless you decide that you're going to listen to my voice and decide to make a judgment. Right? So consider this. Affirmative action and everything that has been going on has been a tool to utilize towards fueling fire and allowing for more hate and allowing for more division to come into play. There, I said it, right? Now learn this. I was all for it beforehand. But I was also at one point, I was raised as a Democrat, right? But why was that? Because I was always told Democrats are there to help everybody and Republicans are there to steal. Not true. Not true.
No.
If you take into context everything that has been going on with this whole situation with these schools, right? Look at all these social media posts. Liberals are being exposed. They're being exposed for being the true racists.
Most definitely.
Because what are you getting in all these posts? What's the most common thing you've seen? Anything you want to call out, Zay?
And where? Sorry, I didn't catch the end.
Well, whether it's Twitter or social media, when you're hearing liberals talk about what happened with the college applications.
Yeah.
What's the most common thing that you're hearing from these guys? For me, is that Black America can't get into their own to a college on their own merit.
I haven't seen that. That's new to me.
Oh, I need to read you a post then.
Yeah.
I need to find it. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
That is news to me.
Absolutely crazy. Majority of these people think that they're being or sounding like they're saviors, right? Because they're standing up for affirmative action, when really they're showing their true colors of being the most racist.
Wow.
I need to find this post. Oh my gosh, it's absolutely ridiculous what I had read. It was so ridiculous that people thought that this person was a bot, and it wasn't. It wasn't. Oh, it's gonna take. I'll have to post it. I'll send it and I'll post it in. Right.
Drop that for
So
me.
literally, what is coming across though is that African Americans cannot get into college on their own merit. What is your own merit? Your test scores, college tuition, right?
Here's what's absolutely ridiculous about it. I mean, let's just be honest. If there is any ethnicity, I'd say Black, Indians, I'd say Hispanics that have gone to Harvard or Yale or any of these top dollar colleges, it is mostly on their own merit because their names aren't on the hallway doors. Their names aren't on the front lawn. Their last names don't exist. They've had to fight to get in there. And not only that, you get scouted to get into those schools. Unless you're part of the family that owns a wing.
Or like, so
the campus.
Interesting numbers. 38% of Harvard is made up of Caucasian individuals. What does that tell you right off bat? 62% are not white.
Correct. Huge number that's not white.
Exactly. But of those 38%, 75% of those 38% are actually legacies. Right?
Doesn't sound like merit to me.
That's not merit, but those are for the Caucasian individuals, right?
Correct.
Of that 38%. The other 62% are minorities. So what are we even talking about here for one, right? Because, unless you're a legacy, if you're an African American, if you're Latino legacy, okay, cool, you're in, whatever it is. But with the exposure of how liberals, it doesn't change what has been said in social media regarding this. And the reason why it's being brought into this type of light is to create a rise out of individuals like myself and Zay. Right? If I could sit here, unless Zay saw the forest through the trees, which he does, if he didn't and he was blinded by this shit, we would be sitting here having an argument.
Right.
For me, if there is a required percentage, a quota per se, to say we need this many minorities, guess what? That goes away now. My test scores get looked at more. Cool. When Martin Luther King said,
that's a great point.
When Martin Luther King said, we shouldn't be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. This is what he was talking about, guys. This is what he was talking about. But to keep us divided, and not just that, I want you guys to think psychologically over the past, however old you are. Think of everything that's happened since, right? I want you to take a step out of your brain and tell yourself, if you haven't thought independently up until now, look at how bad you've been programmed. Okay?
Yeah.
If you can sit there and freely admit, holy shit, it's been 15 years, it's been 20 years, 25 years, I am blinded. I was blinded. Well, guess what? You can now see a lot better when you can take yourself out of that situation and look from the outside in, you can see how the control comes from up above, right?
Yes, you gotta think in a more mass scale, in that macro, like we've talked about many a times, because at this stage, we're going through huge changes, going from the industrial age to the digital age. And now we're seeing less and less people being needed in a lot of different areas and arenas, and they're distracting you with all of this BS. So you're not prepared. So you can take that fall when it's time to take the fall. That's the point of being the pawns.
Have we already forgot that Joe Biden still hasn't done anything to protect African Americans, but yet
Nothing.
he needed
Nothing.
the votes, the African American vote, to get in.
Correct.
How many promise, right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No.
But he can protect transgenders. He can protect LGBTQ. He can protect Asian Americans, right? Which, ironically enough, this whole Harvard and North Carolina situation wasn't even brought by anybody other than an Asian American. That lawsuit that got to the Supreme Court was from an Asian American because he didn't want to be judged by his ethnicity. Why?
Something we've been asking for forever.
Exactly. So if this is what has been asked for, is to be treated equally, where's the loss? Right? Because I'm going to tell you one thing, if you're sitting here mad at this because somebody's being treated equally, right? That tells me that you not only wanted equality, but you also wanted the extras that came along with affirmative action. You can't have that. This is just me being a realist to speaking to people to hopefully open people's minds, right? Because everything that we're seeing here, there's a lot of that. The biggest distraction are these three topics as far as college applications, the Colorado situation, and the third one was the student debt relief, right? Biggest distractions to around the same exact time as when the US flipped into the ISO system. I'm telling you, it's connected.
Yeah.
But this is going to continue. Why did this happen in 2023? Well, guess what happens in 2024? Another election.
Got it. Right on the horizon.
It's right on the horizon. So guess what you're going to start seeing? You're going to start seeing pushes, and you're going to start seeing campaigning towards, again, student debt relief, again, probably towards bringing back affirmative action. I don't think affirmative action was destroyed. I just think at this point, the Supreme Court decided to give something that needed to happen. But my question is, what was wrong with it? What was wrong with it? You can't have the cake and eat it too. So if you're mad at what, like I said, if you're mad at what is not happening, that means you wanted the extras plus the equality, and that's not right.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. I want people to be treated equally. That's what I've always strived for, right? So I've lost a couple. It's funny because I've lost a couple friends that have been minorities due to the way that I feel about these things, because they wanted this and that, the cake and to eat it too.
Right.
Right.
You got to be able to think a little bit more intricate than that. There's a lot of things involved on why those both can't be, and you got to just play into the field that's going to put you in the best position. I don't think people want to accept, and it's due to those. I think a lot of times it's due to those family ties. It's due to not want to be seen as a disappointment to your loved ones and things of that nature, while people just lock in onto whatever side they choose with no gain, with no actual benefit.
I have a real close friend of mine that I talk to all the time. In fact, I've done a podcast with him here and there. But he sees these things because he also does trade. I've done one-on-ones with him. He kind of got in the market, etc. Right? And he started seeing things for what numbers actually were. We've had conversations, and he used to be on the forefront of this podcast that I had done, and he removed himself. He still does the production side of it, but why would he remove himself? Because as an African American individual that can see the forest through the trees, his family would have been disappointed in his views. Why? Because people don't want to enlighten themselves, right? But here's the irony to this. All three topics that happened as far as the distraction goes attacked what? Minorities, LGBTQ, and students. How much of those people make up the population right now? A lot. Okay? A lot. For one, like I said, Biden he made promises that he couldn't keep. Student debt relief is not up to him, and he promised that it would be gone.
His name and impeachment has been going around recently as well.
Which needs to be. Absolutely. Except for the fact, now here, funny you say that, because before he got elected, what did we talk about? That it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because the
person, he wouldn't be able to hold the ball, and he'd be right in the situation.
And who would be the one to take over?
Kamala. But, you know, I'm interested to see if that happens, where that's going to go, because where's she been now?
Oh, she
can't do
anything. Right. She's been a ghost. Realize I even think she knows. She was just a gateway into getting the black vote.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if that happens, and at least for the, if it happened today, we would have at least for the next year and a couple months, we would have Kamala Harris as our leader.
Right. And with the things we have on the horizon, like I believe, even just having the conversation, I don't know if you watched the video that most recently got dropped in the Discord, seeing another bank closure happen over a couple-week period. We already know we're in a very fragile economy. Why they sitting here pumping it up, making it look good for you guys and things of that nature, like Mike talked about. I don't believe prices are still high. Screw that. Prices have not gotten any better on anything. They're still high. I've got friends getting 2-3 jobs now just to maintain, up to even 4, just to maintain where they're living. Airbnbs are going downhill. That's recently been talked about. So we're seeing people making half the profits off of that they was making before. Dude, it's a hot mess. Who's that at?
You see Alex's post?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that don't know who Alex Pruitt is, Alex Pruitt was a guy that knows Zay, worked with us within Blue Cap. He's a real estate agent out here in Arizona. Great one, by the way. He's actually top 10 real estate agents in the state of Arizona. Right? So shout out to Alex. He did a post. You can go find it. It's on all of his IG and Facebook. He's talking about how Airbnbs are starting to crash.
Yep.
So it's funny you say that.
Starting to crash.
Yeah.
It's really getting bad in that front. So now you're looking at people with a few different side hustles that are going to be coming for you. Look at people doing a rental car game. Uber's now about to come and let people from home run their own rental cars. So that's going to hurt your pockets. They're coming out, a lot of people that have started a lot of these businesses, these online quick businesses that they've been trying to start, I think in the last couple of years. I've been seeing them recently. Those big corporations are coming to get that money.
Yep.
They're coming to get
that money. But did they get all their money during COVID though?
Oh man.
Never they didn't get enough. Let's just say they didn't get enough.
And we're talking about going into deeper debt. You know,
we're going to go $5 trillion in more debt because that's the room that they gave us.
Mm-hmm.
That's the room they gave us. $5 trillion. So I already know. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I can already tell you that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because in 2 years, we're going to be right back at what do we do with the debt ceiling? If that conversation doesn't happen, that means the $5 trillion isn't needed. And that means the deficit is coming down. But what does that mean for your pockets? They're going to hurt. Because the money that needs to pay the deficit comes from us. Which, mind you, speaking of the student debt relief, who do you think is going to pay for that?
We are.
Exactly. Now, call me selfish, but I didn't go to college. I don't want to pay somebody else's tuition bill.
Right.
Is that selfish? Or am I just looking out for what's right?
I need just to tell you real quick. I need everyone watching this to just be aware of why things happen when they happen. We go into an industrial age. They need people to be managers. They need people to run things they don't want to do. So I want you to be a person with a degree. That's it. Now they don't really need y'all no more either.
Right.
So you guys running this degree thing and running this game, you might want to be rethinking some things right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
Yep, absolutely. But also just thinking about it though, for those that didn't go to college, you want to pay somebody else's debt? I doubt it. I don't know one person that's like, yes, bring on that thousands of dollar debt. Let me help with that. Why? Because we can't afford it. So funny you're talking about 3-4 jobs people are working. If you look at the mass media, social media, TV media, Biden has been claiming over the past 6 months that he's created 13 million jobs. Not true. Not true. Understand, people working 3 and 4 jobs are, yes, adding into NFP and unemployment claims being in the positive. But until we're under 9.5 million open jobs, until we're under that, we're still filling COVID numbers. We still haven't fully filled all the COVID jobs. We were at 9.5 million open jobs when COVID struck. So until we reach underneath that, we haven't created anything yet. But you will hear that he created 13 million jobs. Psychologically, if you're not paying attention to this, or if you're not thinking about that, you're going to be on his side. Oh, he's creating more jobs. Oh, he's doing this. Oh, he's doing that. So, when that happens, you're being blinded by what actually is in these streets on these charts. Right? So the student debt relief, that's going to be the big thing, I bet, in the push for 2024. Because we see that it's like, here's the carrot. Here's the carrot. I'm gonna take student debt away. Oh, but wait,
smarten up.
I can't. And the Supreme Court said no. So campaign 2024, because it's already clear as far as the African American vote that he's not going to necessarily fully have that, because there's some people I've talked to that are like, yeah, screw Biden. He didn't do anything for me when I voted for him. Right? So you've got people that have felt the heat and that are probably going to either switch, which if Trump runs, you're going to see less people voting. That's what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the push is for student debt relief. Know that the president has no authority over that. If you go into his campaigning hearing that and you're believing it, you're going to be a sucker for a vote.
There seems to be a big push for Newsom, I believe, on the Republican side, instead of Trump. We'll see. Got to keep an eye out on that, because I think he's getting a lot of backlash.
DeSantis was supposed to be the big one.
Are
you talking about Gavin Newsom?
Yeah.
Isn't Gavin Newsom Democrat he's a Democratic representative of California?
Let me see.
He took Kamala Harris's spot.
Just recently, right?
Ron DeSantis was supposed to be the one that was supposed to come up if it wasn't Trump.
Because they're going to try to put Gavin in like an FDR ideal. They're going to try to make
the other person that was talked about was Robert F. Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Democrat.
His great grandson, something like that.
Yeah. So he's a Democrat, but that's his label. He still has ideologies of both sides, right? So here's the thing, though. If you are one to go against the system I've asked this before, but I haven't asked it in this setting before, like on ITU for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to think about it. There have been two presidents in our, what is it, 47? 46?
Yeah, we're coming up to 47 now.
All right. 2 out of all of those that tried to buck the system. Any ideas, Zay, who those 2 were?
Let me see. I'm going to say his grandfather. I can't think of the second one right now.
So John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
That's one. Let me know when you give up.
Not Abraham.
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, well. We know what their situations were.
And why was that?
Well, of course. You can't,
Exactly.
They don't want you stopping the flow of things, man.
Exactly.
Can't have that.
So if you buck the system, you're probably going to end up assassinated. Okay?
Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
So think about the Abraham Lincoln situation. What's the big thing Abraham Lincoln did?
Freed the slaves.
Exactly. And the system was what? To keep them. George Washington, he had them. John Adams had them. Thomas Jefferson had them.
Correct.
But Abraham Lincoln is the one that freed them. And
this is the time, man. This is really the time for people to wake up, man. Like I don't think out of any time in history, you have more access to more information to make smarter moves than any generation prior.
Yeah,
like you got to think we're in the best situation ever in history, as far as a common man is concerned.
Yeah.
You've got a chance to have a leg up here.
Yeah, but see, going against the grain and questioning the system is how we actually evolve into smarter individuals.
Right.
Don't follow the system, question it.
Right. We wouldn't be at this point without that.
Regardless whether you feel the same way I do or not, my ideas and my feelings come from me questioning it. You might end up questioning it and be like, you know what? I still feel the same way. Cool. At least you questioned it and got some knowledge. But I will tell you, at some point, if you listen to what's going on, you think outside the box, and you still agree with it, at some point you're going to change. I promise. Mm-hmm. May not be now, may not be tomorrow or next week, but at some point you will start to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other thing, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but when you're talking about powerful people, you're talking about distractions, and you're talking about I guess conspiracy theories, so to say. How you guys follow the Ocean Gate situation?
The Ocean Gate?
Yeah.
Nah.
The submersive.
The submarine? Titanic? With the submarine?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. The freaking submarine. Well, a lot happened during that week that they was distracting people with that.
Oh yeah. But what people aren't aware of, there's a Middle Eastern guy that was on there. His last name was Dave Wood. Right? I want to say a Saudi Arabian billionaire. I don't know. He was Middle Eastern, but he had that bread. That man was on that submersive, which by any chance, do you know how that thing was made, Zay? Do you know what it was made out of?
Like nothing. Wasn't like aluminum BS? It's like a
carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber?
Made out of carbon fiber. It was controlled with a PlayStation controller.
I saw that controller. If they don't sound like a setup to me out of a video game, bro, I don't know what to tell you.
So this guy, this Middle Eastern individual that was on there, that man was in talks to work with China on energy policies. And now he's dead. There was another gentleman that was on there that had that clout, and he was also working on a couple things as well. So you had two important people that were on that little submersive that should not have ever survived, and they didn't. Right?
They knew it wouldn't. They
going to go view the Titanic. Zay, do you believe the Titanic sunk from the iceberg?
How stupid you got to be? That's honestly all I know. That's the only story I've ever heard.
That's the only story you've ever heard?
That's the only story I've ever heard. So please enlighten me, Mike.
So some people feel that it wasn't even the Titanic that went down, that it was a sister
Really?
ship. Yeah. A sister ship actually had a form of an accident that needed to be repaired in that same area, right? Where the iceberg supposedly hit. I'm not going that route. I'm going the route that there was an explosion. It didn't just hit the iceberg, it exploded and blew a hole into that ship to sink. I need you to, at some point, everybody, Google the 3 individuals that were on that ship. Levi Strauss was one of them. And there was also a gentleman, and what it was at the time, it was the 3 wealthiest individuals in America, which America wasn't fully formed yet. But they were actually fighting the Fed, the Federal Reserve, the privately owned bank that the U.S. government borrows its money from. 3 individuals.
Didn't JP own it?
Huh?
I think JP owned it, didn't it?
I think so. Yeah, something like.
Yeah.
I know JP
owned the
Morgan
ship or something like that.
Right. But the 3 individuals that were on there were the 3 individuals that had enough money and enough power to fight the Fed, and they end up dead. If you think the Titanic was an accident, it was not an accident. Is it a coincidence? I'm going to use the word coincidence. Out of all the stories and everything, when people can ask, damn, wouldn't they have known that that iceberg was there? Didn't they have sonar? Like, I mean, technology is ahead of itself, and these guys had done traveling before. You're going to tell me that they didn't know about that iceberg and the massive piece underneath the water? Come on now. Let's not be stupid.
As much as they knew about COVID.
Oh, yeah, there's that too, right? When they want someone gone, they will have them gone. So if Robert F. Kennedy ends up running, I expect an assassination if he keeps his same ideologies that he has now. So it's hard for me to tell what's going to happen in 2024. I don't know. The only thing that I can expect is a lot of student debt relief push.
Yeah, we know that's not going to happen.
Right. There's going to also be topics on affirmative action, and there's also going to be topics on abortion. Those outside of healthcare, everybody, they always talk healthcare, taxes, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, how many people on this call think about this? Do you have a problem when they say tax the wealthy? Tax the wealthy, tax the wealthy. I don't have a problem with taxing the wealthy. The problem that I have with that topic is that the wealthy find the loopholes and use the loopholes that are made for all businesses. Yep. So this way they can dodge taxes. So raise it as much as you want. These loopholes are still going to exist. You cannot eliminate these loopholes at all without having a bigger problem with all of business in the United States.
Correct.
So
this is why I say, when I talk about, okay, the Democrats are going to do jack shit for you. Republicans aren't going to do jack shit, but at least you can get your money right. Just focus on getting your bread together. If you got to open some businesses to do so, because this country was built on that. The entrepreneurial age should not be dead. They have spent so much time making entrepreneurs the evil person. I love when Myron Golden talks about most of your superheroes are fighting rich giants that are supposed to be evil. Or you got Iron Man, who's supposed to be an arrogant ass, but he's rich. You know what I'm saying? Batman with his wealth, but he's an ass to people and jerks people around and stuff like that. Like they're going to make it look ugly so they can keep you working. Bottom line.
Yep.
And you got to be smart enough and understand, even as a human being, you're here to create. You're here for a reason. So you should create something that you can make yours and sell and put out in the marketplace and take advantage of these same loopholes. Because either way, you're going to lose a battle between somebody with all the loopholes in the marketplace, in the tax brackets, and you don't get them because you're just an employee. Why would you live this life and not take advantage of the things that are, you know, they're going to let you do? They might try to trick you, keep you from doing it. But once you're smart enough, you know, take advantage. So you can be in a position to make a move. Most won't be able to, especially with these huge job replacements. I post a lot of times about these AI coming in and taking all these jobs from people when they could have been working on their entrepreneurial realm. I solely believe your job should get you into creating your own family thing.
Yep. Agreed.
You know?
Agreed. And I'll tell you, the funny thing is they try to hold down the entrepreneurs, right? But yet the entrepreneurs, ironically enough, pay taxes enough to the point to where it's a positive thing, right? So
creating jobs.
For example, my area, like my town, Maricopa, right? We have city mayor candidates and we have actual mayors that are sitting here fighting against the food trucks, right? But why is that? Because they're part of the Good Old Boys Club, right? The Good Old Boys Club is real, by the way. It's just a matter of who's a part of those many different ones. In this case, it's the group that's out here. They want cold beers and cheeseburgers, Chili's, Nando's Mexican restaurant, another McDonald's, another Taco Bell, right? So when all these businesses are coming in, it was corporate. It's corporate jobs, corporate businesses, right? Because they pay the big bucks. Well, guess what? You shut all us little guys out, you're going to take a ton of taxes away. Hold on one second. So it's kind of a catch-22. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hurt the little guys that are going to help the city grow, but as that, you're making your own wealth at that point. That's what they don't want. Right? It's easier to let these corporate guys come in. It's easier to let these corporate guys take over and not challenge them. It's hard for us. It's easier for them.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I want you guys just to continue to open your brains, open your minds, especially with these things going on. There wasn't a lot that went on in Q2 outside of earnings calls from Q1, which earnings calls were actually disappointing from Q1. But these Q2 month over months, or even the Q2 quarter ones that are going to come up, they're going to be positive. Okay. Because some prices and things came down that allowed us to go and do other things, right? Spend more in the grocery stores, put money back in the bank, right? A little bit here and there. But let me tell you, $1 from 330 million Americans going into the bank increases the revenue for each one of these banks, period.
Yeah.
Right? So the other thing is this. Example, Netflix. Now, last year, Netflix had a horrible year. They had a horrible year to the point to where they had, 200,000 less subscribers, I think we talked about. Right. And I said, watch, they set their goal, right? Their number that they didn't want to reach was 2 million less users. So we've talked about this on a couple calls. The numbers will not be they could be worse, but they would never reach 2 million, right? Which ultimately, regardless, would mean that they're going to have positive earnings calls. So in Q2, what did Netflix do? You know what Netflix did, Zay?
No, I didn't hear. I remember Tay mentioned something though, that the family thing, they changed it up.
Yes. The users. People were sharing their usernames and passwords. I'll tell you, I've got 3 different profiles on my Netflix because of that, right? Because we did that. There's many households that are doing that. And guess what? They introduced that they're going to force that change. What is that force? And they saw this already. They saw this to the point to where signups actually increased. So Netflix, I expect it to be a positive earnings. I expect Q2 to be a positive earnings, period, for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But Q3 is going to hurt. And then when they read Q3 and start going into Q4, we're going to start feeling the effects of it. And that's when we're going to probably, this is like that last ditch type effort of let me grab the last couple pennies on, out there before things really, really get bad. So, like I said, August, September, kind of starting into what's going to be the downside of our economy, even though we've been teetering. We're actually, so think about this. I'm going to share my screen again real quick. This is going to be funny for y'all because I need to find, all right, I'm just going to use a blank canvas here. So during COVID, what did we see? We saw bullish moves, right? And then what did we see? We saw drops. We're seeing drops in everything, housing market, everything, right? And then what did we see? We're starting to see this, right? Where we're staying dormant. We haven't really seen too much of movement. What does that pattern say? The bearish flag, right? So what do we see with bearish flags and bullish flags? We see continuations. That's where our economy has been doing. So I expect Q3, Q4.
This is what was the question, Mike?
Oh, the question was based. Oh, sorry. The question was based on the pattern that I was creating.
Oh, yeah. You got a downward move. Yep. Bearish flag.
Yeah. So we're going to see this possibly break. Granted, we will see it come. We'll see a bullish move. And then you'll see it continue down till it reaches whatever support happened back in COVID. Okay. That's exactly what I see happening in this economy. Unfortunately, we have the US dollar index, but unfortunately, we don't have US economy as an actual chart. Otherwise, that's what we would see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what does our country reside on? We see that the dollar is going up, right? So, like I said, from what I was going over before, we can pretty much agree that, from what I'm seeing here, unless someone sees something different, we're going to probably see some bullish moves from the dollar going up.
Most definitely. That was my update today, actually. You guys go back and students, you've gone and watched the review for tonight, the chart session tonight. We talked about how the dollar is showing those bullish signs and maintaining that structure point and the channel it's in.
When my screen updates here, and it goes to my US 30 chart. We already saw
double top, what we talked about. When it wants to play nice.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Oh, look, I've already got the arrows on there. All right, so
there it is.
This is what I see with the stock market. Now, yes, could we end up doing this? Oh, absolutely. We could. We could reach new highs. This is all-time highs right here, by the way. Right? So this is the new low. It's still never passed this one, which means we need to make a new lower low. I still think that this needs to go down. I can see on the RSI, same thing happening, right? We are sitting there. So in my analysis of the US 30, it's funny that we're talking about this right now, because this monthly candle that I'm looking at is supposed to be the opposite of the US dollar. And I was saying I would like to see this reach 34,600, but we may not see it reach 34,600. This may be the monthly doji. That would be a bullish engulfing monthly doji, and then a bearish engulfing, which would be what? The evening star.
Whole evening star.
Full evening star. And when it goes down, oh boy, we got a long way to go down, because we still never retested 50% of this bullish candle here. We never created another low. And not just that, but when we're talking about the month over month, now this is a shorter type data for this chart because I'm using black bull. It's very accurate. It's very accurate, but it hasn't been around for a long time. It's only been around for a year, 2 years, right? If you want the full history, you can go back all the way to here. You know what I'm saying? Using the Awanda one. Or you can use the DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial. That'll give you some accurate information too.
Yeah.
So we are in the sell zone though for me. I had this zone marked up a while ago. So we're in the sell zone, possibly ready to come back down, creating that double top. I see it right there. Especially if inflation is going to go up, especially if interest rates are going to go up. And the quicker this goes down with further pushes that are strong, the more intense these readings are going to be. If what's it called? Earnings calls are positive, we might see some positive, we might see some negative. I don't know. I'm expecting like a mix of some of them. Like Netflix might be good, but the banks might be bad, right? Whatever is going to get this to end out as a doji. After that is when I'm going to decide what I'm going to do. I'm not deciding. You never decide to make your trade on a doji. You make it afterwards, right? If you're looking for a sell, you make it when it retests the wicks, right? Whatever wick is going to be tested here, right? Whatever wick is going to be here. If that's the case, I'd be looking at a price of probably about 34,500 maybe.
About 450 to 500, somewhere in there.
450, 500, anywhere around there. That would probably be your entry, right? For the actual sell, but on the next candle, not this one. Let it come back up and then drop again. And that's going to be your big push. That's if it doesn't break this zone. If it breaks this zone, by all means, look for buys. But the writing's on the wall there, especially if DXY is going to go up, writing's on the wall for the stocks to drop. Stocks drop, guess what? So does crypto. Crypto drops.
You see them start pumping that money again.
Yep.
Or UBI roll out.
Well, the worst part is that even with the stock market back in 2020, when everything happened, we still have to recover from a falsified move that was the $1.5 billion.
For sure.
Illegitimate money that I'm not going to say illegitimate money because it was literally printed off. It was fine. It was
they
to save
print
the stock
as much as they want.
Exactly. It was literally putting money in without buying the actual stocks. So
yeah,
we have a long way to go, and it looks like a beautiful M in my opinion. Right?
Yeah.
Now, yes, you could say the bullish flag. That's why I said you could also see the bullish flag happening, which then calls for a bullish move, right? We never broke lower than here.
Yeah.
We never broke higher than here. So is this a bullish flag? It very well could be. You know?
Yeah.
But trading can go either way. Either way, I'm waiting for the next what's it called? The next candle if I'm trading off of the monthly. Now, if I'm trading off the small time frame, right? Let's go back to the US dollar real quick. Because now I'll get into the smaller time frame moves. And then we'll end it out there. There we go.
So
All right, let's drop to the small time frame. Let's drop to the hour, and then we'll go below that. And we're making a possible teacup right here too.
you're gonna get there. She's gonna get there.
Yeah, at some point. And maybe I'll be able to go over this divergence thing too.
Oh yeah, let's end off with that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and tie it in because I would bet that there's gonna be some divergence coming up here because those are gonna be your giveaways right now for actual moves. There we go. All right. So what do we see on the hour time frame? Well, we see imbalance here. We see some fair value gaps that need to be filled on the way down. Let's get rid of this here. See some fair value gaps that were recently made here, 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 and here. Right? Everything else to the left of these has been filled outside of anything that's lower or higher. So, but what's been in the most recent times, we've seen actual fair values be filled. This one was filled actually. Right? This big red one. It filled with this from the 5th, from today. So now we made a new high on the 1 hour. All right, let's take the wrong line. Oop, I deleted it. All right. So that's the lowest of the zone before we start seeing rejection. Or should be seeing rejection. That's your zone, 70 to 75 on the RSI. Reach a 70, 75, usually you can sell after that. It works perfectly. If we see pushes outside of that and it gets even more overbought, then at that point, you're going to see even a steeper drop, right? So we are sitting here retesting the 70 price as a possible double top, right? If this stays as is, I wanted divergence, and I may have got it already. So we're staying here at this price line, right? No higher, no lower than this one. Well, guess what? We're already going up here. Mm-hmm. So this shows bullish on the candlesticks. It shows bearish on the RSI. So on the hour, I would expect this to come back down. Now, some of these pushes like unemployment claims or NFP can be quick pushes to then go right back up, right? Yeah. So what you might see on the RSI is something that drops all the way down here, but you might only see it to here, create a higher low, and then boom, right? As long as it doesn't break this one right here, so we'd be sitting like right there in that area, we would still be bullish.
Still be good. Yeah.
Right. So don't look at just here. You can even go back further. For example, look, high, high, high. All those went up. But this went down. And it sets you up for this drop. If you saw this drop coming up, where is my damn
Buying post, that's a new one.
If you saw this coming, you could have bought the hell out of EU, AU, and GU and NU, and you would have made a lot of money. Right? That's what divergence is supposed to tell you about. So all in all, I do see, especially like I actually see this happening more than anything. Let's get rid of these. I see the US dollar going up to then come down to then go right back up again. Okay. Why do I say that? Because I see flagpole. I see highs that need to be made. I see lows that have been made. If I take my fib and I measure the flagpole, this would actually be 50%. Oh, funny, retesting a support. This is what I see happening. So being on the 1 hour, this could be this whole month, right? This drop here would be what creates a bottom wick on your monthly. And then as we go up, it may take its sweet ass time to do so, right? So we might see this. We might see the push up, higher low, this, right? I'm just drawing on here. All in all, within this whole move here, that would create your monthly doji, which would then be a buy signal on your next candle for August. So sell GU, sell AU, sell EU, sell NU when you start seeing this being formed on the monthly, right? This is off the hour. You want a better entry, just drop down to the 15 or drop down to the 5, and you can see what's going on. I would bet that if
and when it gets to that location as well, you know, a lot of people look too soon and then get burned.
Yeah, absolutely. I would bet that if I go down to the 5, we're probably looking to come back down. We're probably overbought right now. Oh, we have been. We have been overbought. And it's starting to come down now. There was your last high.
Yeah.
Now see this low. Let's see. Yep, we got a little bit there for the drop. Right? We see straight retest. We see a high be broke. And we see the drop. You would have bought EU, AU, NU, and you've been looking for the retest here on the candlesticks, and then would have rebought on the way up. Look, we're starting to come down now. Look at that. As I'm talking, it gives us a big bearish candle. Continue to drop, baby, because you're only going to give us the entry for the buy.
Yes, sir.
So you just got to translate that same thing. Like DXY is a chart, but it's still candlesticks. Translate the same thing over to EU, NU, GJ, AJ, AN, any of those. I don't. AJ, NJ, CJ, CAD, UCAD, any of them. Candlesticks are candlesticks. Continue to look for these things, and as you start knowing where, of course, the dollar is going, you can know where everything else is going. You know what I mean? So, all in all, don't be blinded by the distraction. Use the distractions as a tool as to how they're going to control people. That's what's going on in the media right now. Translate it over to here. See what's going on here. You can make your money on here.
There it is. There it is. Hey, man, great call tonight. I appreciate your time, Mike. As always, man, this has been a wonderful communication today, man. You guys got the full one-on-one, 102, 105, exactly what's been going on. and how things might be coming up next. So you can prepare and get yourself in the right spaces. Start working yourself into, if you're already an entrepreneur, you know, keep doing your thing, get your hustle on, stay in talk, stay in communication, people, grow you a nice network of good people, solid people to work with. If you're trading, man, lock in. This is not the time to play. As we go into where these markets may go next. Could be rocky, could be smooth selling for some of us, but you want to have that skill set on par, right? You want to be making sure you're executing. So thanks again, Mike. Thanks for coming through, man.
No, anytime.
Most
Anytime.
definitely.
I'll be dropping some info in the Discord.
Most definitely. I appreciate that. We're gonna be running up some, I know Byron will be on for a London session tonight. If you guys are watching this from the Discord, feel free to join him during that time. Otherwise, I'll probably see you guys from New York tomorrow, see what goes down. But NFP, so take your time out there. Take your time this week.
Yeah. Banks will probably not be trading. In fact, they didn't trade yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're even going to be trading this week because usually they stop after Tuesday on NFP weeks. They let everybody else fuck it up, and then they can correct it next week.
Yeah, so that's how you're going to want to move. All right, y'all. Signing out. Peace.